We shall all remain standing for the two anthems, starting with the Kenyan National Anthem, followed by the East African Anthem. The anthems. While we remain standing, allow me to invite Honorable Beatrice Elachi, together with His Excellency Nathif Jama, to lead us in a word of prayer.
Bless you for everything for our country, Kenya, Father. How we bring all our leaders unto you, His Excellency the President. And Father, we want to pray for the soul of our leader, Raila Odinga, at this time, Father, as we evaluate the 10-point agenda. We pray, Father, for clarity. We pray for wisdom. We pray, Father, that as leaders we dedicate ourselves to transform our nation as He had wished, Father. That we will stand in peace, that we will indeed remember He stood for Kenya. And this morning we bring the President unto you, Father, as He continues to build the nation. We bless you this morning. We thank you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray in humility. Amen.
Let us kindly take our seats. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces and the UDA Party Leader, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, Deputy President and Deputy Party Leader, UDA, Party Leader Oburu Oginga, UDA-ODM Party Chairpersons, Secretary Generals, Governors present, led by the COG Chair, all party officials present, and all members of Parliament and invited guests present. Your Excellency, sir, it is my distinct honor to start off the program to invite His Excellency, the Deputy President, who will deliver the scorecard. And I request that we give him a warm round of applause as His Excellency, the Deputy President, takes the stage. Welcome, Your Excellency.
members of the Senate, because the scorecard, which we celebrate today, the achievements of this administration for the last 3 years could not have been possible without the unwavering, consistent, and faithful support from the two houses of Parliament. Every success we have registered, from healthcare to affordable housing, to all our programs in education and infrastructure, would not have succeeded if the enabling legislation was not passed by the National Assembly and the Senate of Kenya. And because we are the majority, our two parties form the majority of the members of the two houses, history will be very kind on these members, because as we assess the progress made in the transformation of our country, there will be a very, very prominent chapter on the role that the National Assembly and the Senate played to actualize the flagship projects of the broad-based administration. Your Excellency, I've been given 20 minutes to say very many things. I'll try to keep the time, and we have agreed with the leaders of the houses that after the 20th minute, they can ring the bell. Your Excellency, the last 3 years have been phenomenal, because when you were sworn in, and iko kitabu, there is a booklet with the scorecard, so that you can help, you can be able to follow as we go through. I will not be able to say everything, but I will be able to give the key highlights in the 20 minutes which I have. So, Your Excellency the President, when you were sworn into office on 13th September 2022, the economy of Kenya was in bad shape because of a number of factors, mainly the disruption of the supply chains because of the war in Ukraine and Russia, the COVID-19 pandemic that has shut down our economy for more than a year, and other shocks, including the droughts that had ravaged our country. Because of these economic shocks, our economy was in bad shape. Kenya was one of the 6 countries in Africa that had been predicted to default in their sovereign debt, the others being Ethiopia, Chad, Ghana, Gambia, and Zambia. Out of the 6 countries, including Kenya, that had been predicted to default in their sovereign debt obligations, only Kenya survived. All the other 5 countries defaulted. Why? Because immediately you were sworn in office, you made very difficult, painful, and unpopular decisions that helped bring our economy back on track, including negotiating a G2G arrangement for the supply of crude oil, which was not available in 2022 September. People were queuing to buy petrol. And we saw the escalation of costs of petrol, which is a big contributor to inflation. It kept on increasing until it reached a high of 2018 shillings a litre. Over the last 3 years, Your Excellency, through your leadership and with the support of the broad-based administration, we've been able to bring down a number of macroeconomic indicators that were affecting our economic environment. Number 1, prices of essential commodities that had skyrocketed and therefore influencing the cost of living negatively have been stabilized over time, including unga from 250. Today, unga from 138 shillings going forward, you'll get your unga depending on the type of unga that you want to consume. But from 138 shillings, you'll get your unga. Your Excellency, Fuel, which had gone as high as 217, 218 shillings a litre, has been going down continuously. Over time, losing over 40 shillings. Today we are at 178 a litre. Your Excellency, inflation, which was at 9.6% at that time, is now stable for more than a year. It has been somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5%, which is within the central bank preferred midpoint. The Central Bank of Kenya preferred midpoint for inflation is 5%, plus or minus 2.5%. We are below that CBK benchmark. Last month it was 4.3%. Again, congratulations, Your Excellency, because inflation, low inflation, and keeping inflation stable and low is one of the macroeconomic foundations on which our economy is going to be built going forward. Your Excellency, the exchange rate, the shilling was losing value every day. Over the last almost 1.5 years and more, we've been able to keep a stable exchange rate at 129 shillings, down from 165, 162, 165 shillings in 2022. Your Excellency, congratulations. The Kenya shilling now has been rated as one of the most stable currencies in the world. The top 6 stable currencies in the world, the Kenya shilling is in that list. Your Excellency, over the last 3 years, again, due to difficult and popular but important decisions, we have now grown our cash reserve ratio. Our foreign exchange reserves have increased. In 2022, when you were being sworn in, people were booking dollars. Business people wanted to do export-import trade. They needed to pay for goods from overseas. They had to book dollars for dollars, and you could not get, if you ask for 10,000, they tell you we'll only get you 3,000 today. Next week we'll get you another 2,000, because we didn't have enough foreign exchange reserves. We have moved over the last 3 years, Your Excellency, under your leadership, from a low 5.7 billion US dollars, which is import cover for 2.5 months, to a historic high. I know the booklet says that we are at 12.3, but we have increased. The data from Central Bank on Thursday, we have hit a historic high, 14.6 billion US dollars, equivalent to 1.9 trillion Kenya shillings in foreign exchange reserve. Import cover of 6.2 towards 7 months of import cover. Kimani Ishungwa is an accountant. He's telling me it's not 6.2, it's 7 months import cover. Meaning even if the economy of Kenya was shut down for 7 months, we will still conduct our affairs without disrupting international trade, our export and import trade. This is historic. We've never been there before. Your Excellency, sir, on the economy, the other indicators are also looking good. I've talked about the strength of the currency. I've talked about low inflation. I've talked about the cash reserve ratio. I also want to talk about national savings. For 62 years, we had only saved 320 billion through NSSF. Okay? I know in the booklet, national savings comes as the last point, but I decided to bring it forward because it's part of the economic fundamentals that influence our macroeconomic stability. For 60 years, we only had savings through NSSF of 320 billion. In the last 3 years, in fact, 2 years, because we changed the law, again, courtesy of Parliament, we started implementing the law that Parliament passed 2 years ago. We have saved an additional 370 billion in 2 years. Today, savings stand at 690 billion Kenya shillings, projected to hit the 1 trillion shilling mark by the end of next year. Again, historic because we have more than doubled our national savings in 2 years compared to what we had saved for 62 years. Your Excellency, all these macroeconomic indicators point to a better Kenya, a stronger economy. No wonder all the ratings of the Kenyan economy by international credit rating agencies have been positive on Kenya. From Standard & Poor to Moody's, Kenya now has been upgraded to somewhere between B3, B-, a stable economy by sovereign credit rating companies which are global and therefore are not politically inclined. And therefore, this macroeconomic heavy lifting has taken us a bit of time, but we're in good place now. Going forward, the remaining part is easier because now we now move into the realm of microeconomics, that is putting money into the pockets of individual citizens, creating jobs and income opportunities, and also employment, jobs, household incomes, and that is where the other programs that we have rolled out are going to take us, as we are going to see. So that is how the economy has been stabilized over the last 3 years, and some of the interventions required parliamentary supports of the two houses of parliament, and we applaud Parliament in its entirety for that support. Number two, Your Excellency, is agriculture. We have undertaken a number of agricultural transformation steps in the last 3 years as the broad-based administration. Number one, we started with the registration of farmers. Before then, we didn't have a database on farmers. And now we have a database of farmers. We know what they farm, the acreage of land, the kind of fertilizer they need, and where they are. And we are now having 7.3 million farmers whom we know what they need in terms of farm inputs. That was a major milestone of the achievement of this administration quite early within the first year. Number two, we've worked on the farm inputs to bring down prices of farm inputs, mainly fertilizer, from a high of 7,000 shillings per 50 kilogram bag of fertilizer to now the current 2,500 shillings per bag. We've also subsidized certified seeds to make them more affordable, and the result of these interventions have been to improve productivity in agriculture. Maize, for example, the staple crop, we have seen an increase in our maize production from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year, 2025. We have also seen the increase in terms of income and returns on coffee from an average of 60 to 70 shillings a kilo. Today, a kilo of cherry, the farmers are getting somewhere between 120 and 160 shillings, more than double of what the prices were in 2022. Earnings from tea over the last years have improved from 154 billion in 2022 to last year 215 billion Kenya shillings, the highest returns from tea in the history of our country. We've also increased our production of sugar, because for a long time Kenya has been importing sugar. Your Excellency, you recall more than 20 years ago when you were Minister for Agriculture, you still used to lead Kenya's delegation to Zambia to negotiate for COMESA safeguard measures so that we can get sugar imported into Kenya. In the last 3 years, Your Excellency, through your leadership, we've been able to reduce the imports of sugar by over 70%. The production has risen from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to 815,000 metric tons in 2025. through your leadership and with the help of both houses of parliament, we have been able to bring in a new law in the sector to eliminate cartels and to provide for partnering with private sector to lease government-owned sugar factories, Mumias, Nzoia, Chemelil, Sony. And today, we are now not just having an additional 200,000 acres under sugarcane production, but we are also having timely payment for farmers, of course at better prices, from 3,500 shillings per ton to the current 4,500 shillings per ton. Your Excellency, because of these reforms, the cartels in the sugar industry have been dealt with, and in the next 2-3 years, Kenya will not require to import a single grain of sugar from anywhere. In fact, Kenya will start exporting sugar to the other countries in the region. Your Excellency, for the first time, farmers are being paid every 7 days for their delivery of cane, and workers are being paid at the end of the month. And for the first time since sugarcane growing was introduced in Kenya, sugarcane farmers are earning bonus, as you yourself has presided over the issuance of bonus in Mumias, and I'm sure for the other sugar factories, the bonuses should be coming at the end of the year. So that is what we've done for sugarcane. And in terms of milk production, Your Excellency, we've been able to increase production from 4.6 billion liters in 2022 to 5.3 billion liters last year. Our exports of dairy products have also increased by 92% to last year's 9.4 billion shillings worth of exports of dairy products. Your Excellency, we have also in the livestock sector been able to start installing milk coolers to provide longevity for milk and avoid wasting milk, which has been going bad. But also we have vaccinated 7.9 animals. We have also been able to increase our meat exports, which were 12.9 billion shillings last year. And we are also almost completing the Kenya Leather Industrial Park in Kenanie, which will bring value addition into the livestock sector and make more income and returns for pastoralists and livestock keepers. Your Excellency, sir, I can also highlight a few things we've done in the blue economy because of the counties in the coast and counties around Lake Victoria that depend on blue economy. We are building fish landing sites from Waepe near Lungalunga all the way to Mokowe in Lamu, Kipini, Kichwa Chakati in between, and we are also giving grants to beach management units. We've already disbursed 3.2 billion shillings to beach management units to support fishermen. We are buying boats. The small boats are already in place. What is being procured now are the high sea or deep sea fishing boats. And we are collaborating with county government to fasten that procurement so that we can have boats that can go into the deep sea and bring better fish and more valuable fish. We are also, we've completed the Shimoni fish port, 2.6 billion shillings. We've completed a big mariculture center in Shimoni at 1.4 billion. We are building Kabonyo Aquaculture Center of Excellence around Lake Victoria, 1.3 billion. We have landing sites around Lake Victoria from Migori all the way to Mukoba in Busia and all the other places in between. We have finished the Paya in Homa Bay, the fish markets in Homa Bay, the fish market in Kidongo in Mombasa. We have also done the lab, fish quality lab in Mombasa. It's almost complete. and the one in Kisumu is also 55% complete. We are also providing pond liners and cages for fish cage farming, and also providing predator nets to encourage inland fish farming. So, Your Excellency, I know that booklet has omitted that blue economy thing, so we'll improve and maybe, because that's an area also we've done very well. Number 3, Your Excellency, universal health. Universal health, Your Excellency, when you came to office, the first thing that this government did was to promote primary health care by employing community health promoters, 107,831 of them, who continue to be our foot soldiers to encourage people to live well, to try and detect complicated diseases before they become chronic, like diabetes, sugar-related diseases, pressure-related diseases, in partnership with county governments. I must also thank Your Excellency the same way I thank the members of the National Assembly and senators. I must thank the governors of the Republic of Kenya, because they have supported every program where we have partnered between the county governments and the national government. There has been zero resistance, there has been zero politics, because we are used to the past politics of fighting devolution, and any input from the national government to the county governments has been embraced by the county governors and the county governments wholesomely. I commend the county governors of Kenya for their patriotism. Your Excellency, under universal health care, as of this morning, we have registered 29.8 million Kenyans into Taifa Care, which is historic, because we are coming from 7 million shillings, 7 million Kenyans under NHIF. You can imagine from 7 million to 29.8. I think in the next 2 weeks, we will reach the 30 million mark. I can see the governor of Mombasa. Mombasa continues to lead. As of this morning, 932,000 residents of Mombasa out of 1,190,000, 78% are enrolled under Taifa Care. I see the other governors are trying to incite me to also mention. I will not name them, but the top 5 counties, for purposes of record, is Mombasa, followed by Bomet, followed by Elgeyo Marakwet, followed by Kirinyaga, and Tharaka Nithi closes the top 5. Your Excellency, it's only that we are in a formal meeting. I would have asked that question. Your Excellency, sir, what we need to fine-tune to improve our universal health care going forward are 3 things. 1, we need to improve on the health commodity supply chain. There are still a few gaps in the health commodity supply chain system. Number 2, we need to improve on the actuarials of the universal health coverage to make sure the premiums that are paid are able to provide quality packages for all kinds of treatments across the board. And thirdly, we need to fine-tune the issue of fraud. We must fight fraud. The biggest threat to any public medical insurance around the world, in all countries, the biggest threat is fraudulent claims. We must overcome that challenge, detect fraud, deal with it when it happens, and make sure that we secure UHC into the future. Your Excellency, in terms of equipment, we are under the National Equipment Support Program, which all counties again have signed to. We are placing specialized equipment to replace the now decommissioned MES program with the National Equipment Support Program. So we've made a lot of strides in the health sector. In terms of education, number 4, Your Excellency, education. When you were sworn in office, there was a lot of hue and cry. Everywhere we went, citizens used to tell you and to tell the rest of us, if you get into office, abolish CBC. Today that noise has died completely. Why? Because immediately you are sworn in office, you established the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. High-level experts, stakeholders, students, lecturers, and all the people in that space contributed to the streamlining, the reforms that we have implemented that streamline the CBC program. Transition has been going on. We just transited into grade 10. I'm told we are now 99-point-something% transition into grade 10 in the 3 pathways. There is still work to do, but at least we provided clarity on the CBC program. We have employed 100,000 teachers. Our commitment in the manifesto was 116,000 teachers. We will close the gap this year, and we will celebrate that milestone as well, because we discovered during our campaigns that there was a poor student-teacher ratio. By that time, it was 1 teacher for 45 pupils or students. Today, we have reduced that ratio from 1 to 45 to 1 to 29, one of the best in the world. Even the developed countries, it is somewhere between 1 to 25 and 1 to 30. So we are doing well. The textbook ratio in our country is among the best in the world, 1 to 1. The textbook student ratio of Kenya is among the best in the world, 1 textbook for 1 pupil or student. Your Excellency, we have built 23,000 classrooms. 7,000 of those classrooms have been built by members of parliament from the National Assembly through CDF. And 15,000 classrooms have been built through the national government. Your Excellency, we have also been able to employ 3,300 tutors for our TVETs, and we have also achieved a number of things. Number 1, we have increased the budget in education from where it was in 2022 when you took over. The education budget was 500 billion. Last year, it was 702 billion. This year, it will be 738 billion. Going forward, we also have increased capitation for universities. Funding for our universities has moved from 45 billion in 2022 to 82 billion last year. Funding for the Higher Education Loans Board to provide loans has increased from 17 billion in 2022 to 41 billion last year. In terms of tertiary education, Your Excellency, what have we done? Number 1, we have increased enrollment, because when you came to office, there were more students in universities than in tertiary institutions, which is it's not the way it should be. There should be more students at the lower levels, including tertiary institutions, and less in the university. We are trying to correct that anomaly. In 2022, we had 297,000 students in TVETs. Today, we are at 718,000, 3 times more. Your Excellency, we have employed 3,300 teachers for TVETs. We are equipping the TVETs, and we have brought policy changes in that space to increase the number of people who access TVETs. We have brought the modularization policy, where you come, if you are a Juakali person, you do 1 module, you continue doing your business. When you get some time, you come back and do another module, and over time, you accumulate. You don't have to stay in the TVET for 3 years. If you are already engaged in other things, you can pursue your TVET education in a modular form. We have introduced the dual training policy, and we have introduced the recognition of prior learning, which helps to certify those who are prior learning, but they don't have certification in technical related subjects. That's what we have done on education. That's number 4. I'm not doing so well. Number 5, Your Excellency, is infrastructure. And infrastructure, I'll speak about 4 things. One is the roads program that I had stalled. In 2022, many roads had stalled because of lack of money. Those roads stalled in 2019, 2020, 2021. There was no money. When you were sworn in office, President William Ruto, we had pending bills in the road sector of about 190 billion. Those bills were verified and they came to 177 billion. They have all been paid. The 177 billion of pending bills has been cleared by the broad-based administration. And thanks to Parliament, because they helped us pass some of the regulations that has helped us have innovative financing models and securitizing part of the fuel levy to be able to clear those bills. In the last 3 years, we have completed 2,143 kilometers of road. With the clearance of pending bills, 6,000 kilometers of new roads or stalled roads which are stalled, 6,000 kilometers are now being built across the country. And Your Excellency, as I travel around this country, I really get impressed. Some of the areas where citizens had given up hope on tarmac roads, I have seen those roads with my own eyes. Niseme nisiseme. From Mandera to Ramu, to Kitoka Lamu, Gare, from Gare, Elwak, Kobo, Kotulo, Tarbaj, Wajia, Samata, Modogashe, Garbatura, Kulamawe, Isiolo. 750 kilometers of a road under this administration for the first time in northern Kenya. 750 kilometers. The largest, the longest single road project ever to be initiated in the Republic of Kenya. Karibu niulize Rais Ruto ni fire si fire. But since this is a formal meeting, sitauliza. There is another road which had been approved to be graveled, but President Ruto changed the instructions and said it should be tarmacked. From Lamu Port to Ijara to Garissa, all the way to Isiolo, 421 kilometers. It's being tarmacked as we speak. Over 50% of that road is now being done, has been done. I have seen roads which have been forgotten, like Taveta, Chala, Njukini, Olerai, Rombo, Ilasit. It's now okay. It's almost work in progress. I've seen the dwelling of Changamwe, Mariakani. I've seen the dwelling of Mtwapa to Kilifi, going into Malindi. It's ongoing. And the flagship one, Rironi, Mau Summit, which is being worked on as we speak. So there's a lot of progress. That is the roads. Electricity, we have increased the connectivity of electricity from 8.8 million households in 2022 to 10.3 million households in 2025. And we are on course towards universal electrification by 2030, as was envisaged in Vision 2030. Our connectivity in electricity now is 66% nationally, one of the highest in Africa. Some of the African countries are still at 11%, 18% of contracts and affordable housing markets and hostels. Already, and 177,000 bed capacity for hostels. And then we are also providing institutional housing for our security forces, from Kenya Defense Forces to National Youth Service, to 15,000 for KDF, and the list is long. That is what we've been able to achieve under affordable housing markets, hostels, and institutional buildings. We have business process outsourcing centers, which are operational. One is in Tatu City and a few others. We also have, in that space of ICT, we have distributed Very quickly, this affordable housing, hostels, and markets program has created 500,000. The ICT hubs and the Kazi Mtandaoni program, 300,000 jobs. Other than the 500,000 jobs in the which has created opportunities for 142,000 young people, starting with the Nairobi River project, but also in other projects. Your Excellency, we have Kazi Kwa Ground, and the Kazi Kwa Ground is the 100,000 teachers you have employed. It is the 500,000 teachers and affordable housing and hostels. It is the 142,000 opportunities created in the private sector because the economy is recovering. Kazi Kwa Ground. Under the Kazi Mtandaoni, I have said 300,000, and they have not gone there by chance or by trial and error. It's because of deliberate government interventions. Which ones? Eradicating recruitment cartels. Signing bilateral labor agreements to protect our workers abroad. Providing a green channel for passports of young people who have a contract so that in 2 days they get a passport. Them buy a ticket and acquire a passport through the Youth Enterprise Fund. These interventions is what has promoted the Kazi Maju program. We have now 538,000 have been presiding over. The first component of Nyota, which is business support, has reached 123,000, expanding that number into 1 million, even 2 million. And we are working on it, both under the Nyota program and also the KICC, which will equip small enterprises with the equipment they require to increase their productivity. And we are working on that, Your Excellency, to ensure that between KICC and on-the-job experience and AGPO opportunities and RPL, which are the components that we are working on. That's what we've done, FIFA standards and also Nyayo, but we have also built the most iconic sports stadium in this part of the world, the Talanta Sports City, which Homa Bay is complete, Kitui is complete, Kinoru in Meru is complete, and many others. Your Excellency, allow me to talk about security reforms as I visited on many people because of terrorists, extremist groups, and bandits to a big extent because of the police equipment model. You are implementing, or we are implementing the police reforms in terms of welfare. Just last week, an announcement was made for increment of their salaries. The lowest prison warder and police officer will get an increase of 48% of their basic salary. This has not been done in a long time. We are building houses for them. We are providing medical and life cover for them if they get hurt in the line of duty. Your Excellency, for the KDF, the modernization program is also running smoothly, and we want to thank you for those reforms. In terms of our road traffic safety, just this week we went live on instant fines. That should be able to reduce the road accidents and make drivers accountable. And we are going to see a drastic reduction of road accidents because of the cameras and the instant fines that we have introduced. So that's what we've done. Allow me to end, Your Excellency. I know I've exceeded my time. I don't know why the leaders have not rung the bell. Let me finish by projecting the future. As you have led us, Your Excellency, you have told us Kenya is punching below its weight. For far too long, we are struggling, yet our potential is big. Through your leadership, Your Excellency, we've been able to crack the difficult issue of how we finance our modernization and transformation. And you have told us it is possible for us in one generation as has been done in Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, we are able to transform Kenya from the third world economy status to the first world. Other countries have done it, we can do it. China, for example, pulled 800 million people from poverty in 40 years, between 1971 and 2021. We can do it in one generation. And you've led us, and on this one, once again, I thank our parliamentarians. Just yesterday, we saw the signing into law of the National Infrastructure Fund Act, a bold measure that will define our future and will set Kenya free, economically speaking. We put in resources there, government resources, private sector resources, so that when we sell part of the assets we have, the money does not go to salaries and recurrent expenditure, as has happened before. We sold Safaricom in 2008. We don't know what we use that money for. We've sold Kenya Airways shares before. We don't know what we did with that money. We've sold Kenya Re before. We don't know what we did with that money. The money now we are offloading from some of our assets goes into this fund to define our future. We extend our railway from Naivasha to Narok to Nyamira, Kisumu, all the way to Malaba. We draw our roads, as I have said, another 28,000 kilometers of road. We build dams and harvest water and get away from the shame of hunger. 50 mega dams, 200 mid-sized dams, and 1,000 smaller dams. We also increase our energy productivity by 10,000 megawatts, because currently we only produce 3,300 megawatts. We need 10,000 megawatts so that we can power our industries into the future. Time has not allowed me to talk about KICC and special economic zones, which we are constructing. Your Excellency, I thank you. I stop there, and I apologize for exceeding the 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
A warm clap for His Excellency, the Deputy President. With all that said off-head, congratulations, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to now call on Agnes Zani, the Chairperson Committee, to oversee the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. Let's, as she gets on stage.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and Ginga, the Principal of ODM, Deputy President, Your Excellency, present, Cabinet Secretaries present, Excellency Governors present, Members of Parliament, Joint Committee. We stand at a very important time in the transformation of Kenya. We've just had a very detailed report that has been given by the Deputy President. We are coming in as the committee that was tasked to look at specific aspects of that development, just an aspect of it, which is the 10-point agenda. Because of time, I will not go into what the 10-point agenda is, because very shortly, we'll go into its implementation. I just want to state here that when we talk about the implementation of the 10-point agenda, it is ongoing, has been ongoing. The path for a developmentalist agenda, for a transformative agenda that changes this country forever. And make changes that are very, very critical. We are one of the countries with the largest percentage of the youth badge who need the space to be able to policy framework for how we can progress this country by looking at the various aspects. We're looking at aspects of job creation, for example, and youth employment. Finance wealth funds use public-private partnerships to make these changes. Why am I mentioning this? Because this is a significant change. Once we have infrastructural fund, started in 2011, Ghana 2014, we have India 2015, and Canada also has this particular fund. So it is possible for us to. What have we come in to do as the committee to oversee the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report? The NADCO report 2013 of measures that are very, very key for implementation. And then from the MOU that was signed on the 7th of March 2015 by Your Excellency the President and the late Raila Amolo Odinga gave 10 specific points. These 10-point agendas were not in vain. These point agendas, entrenched also in the NADCO report, meant that in the recommendations, they stated that a committee should come and oversee, overlook, give information about the progress of where we are in this agenda. Therefore, this committee, by virtue of that role, became an overseeing committee of whom? Of duty bearers. And who are these duty bearers? The Executive Office of the President, we have the various ministries, we have the various commissions, we have the various organs, we have the judiciary, we have independent commissions who have been doing this implementation. And this has to be very clear, because we cannot then say between August and now, what has happened to the implementation of the 10-point agenda? It is ongoing, ever has been ongoing, and even from what His Excellency, the Deputy President, has indicated, various issues have been going. But we were given this impetus from a political point of view. So when people have asked, for example, but in this committee, are you replicating the roles, for example, of the Auditor General? The answer is no. We're just getting this data for specific issues which were of interest to the two political parties, ODM and UDA, in the MOU, the NADCO report, and 10-point agenda. And this is what we've come to do this morning, give the implementation status in terms of each of those 10-point agenda, so that we can see and we can demonstrate that progress has gone on. So this committee, of course, was established on the 6th of August via statement from His Excellency the President and also from the late Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, as the ODM principal, we have Dr. Oburu. So there is perpetuity and continuity in this very, very critical process. Through this, we've been able to engage with various stakeholders. We've had consultations with various stakeholders. We went through public forums throughout the various parts of the country to bring in this information, and we're about to deliver exactly that. Kindly allow me to acknowledge, with a lot of humility, the members of this committee. Could you please be upstanding so that you can be recognized? Members of the COINTEN, we call ourselves COINTEN, it's just an acronym of the committee overseeing the implementation of the NADCO report and the 10-point agenda. We have as just joint secretaries, Mr. Bore and Mr. Ongwen. Mr. Bore, Executive Director of UDA, Mr. Ongwen, Executive Director of ODM. On the far end, we have Mr. Javas Bigambo, who is the Vice Chair of this committee. We have Mr. Oguda, member. We have Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, a member, and Mr. Kevin Kiari. Together, allow us now to present this report with a lot of humility. We have taken this as a national duty that is very, very key and very, very important in the trajectory of taking us into being completely developed country, following on various stages that we have passed through and what we need to be able to get to. So we then say, as a committee, this is a task that keeps going on. It is a task that is very, very critical for us. I'd like now to invite Mr. Javas Bigambo to take us through the specific aspects of the 10-point agenda, right through inclusivity, the debt issue, the issue of the youth and the youth badge, employment, and all the other issues. Your Excellency, we are very appreciative of this task that you've given us. Dr. Oburu, we are very appreciative of this task. We endeavor to deliver. We endeavor to ensure that this 10-point agenda works to transform Kenya once and for all. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Party Leader of UDA, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Senator Dr. Oburu Oginga, the Party Leader of ODM, distinguished Honorable Members of Parliament, and Kenyans. We, as the committee overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda, are glad to come before you to make this presentation. Various key issues that are marked as achievements have been enumerated by His Excellency the Deputy President, and I will not go much into that. And given that all of us here have got copies of this 10-point agenda, I'll only make brief highlights under each section. The building of a nation is a project that never comes to an end, and that is why His Excellency President William Ruto has committed to put in place critical measures to ensure that Kenya moves forward, and as he has spoken numerous times, to move Kenya into a first world country within our lifetime. Kenya has experienced various political crises and challenges, and these challenges have led many times political leaders to come together to bridge the divide so that we get to have amicable solutions. And that's why the NADCO team was formed. It presented a report which was adopted by Parliament in February 2024. And later on, to its implementation, and also following the challenges that bedeviled this country, we had UDA and ODM come together with a view to resolve some of the socio-political and economic challenges that this country has faced. The coming together between ODM and UDA was predicated on the signing of an MOU with a 10-point agenda, and these particular 10 points include the full implementation of the NADCO report, inclusivity in all spheres of public life, protecting and strengthening devolution, promoting and protecting the livelihood of the youth, leadership and integrity, the right to peaceful assembly, and Article 37 of the Constitution, and compensation of victims of protests and riots. Fight against corruption, stopping wastage of public resources, protecting and promoting sovereignty of the people and the rule of law and constitutionalism. Those are the 10-point agenda issues. As the chair has indicated, the committee over the last 6 or 7 months has engaged with various implementing agencies, among them the Executive Office of the President, the Legislature, the Judiciary, county governments as implementing agencies, constitutional commissions, and independent offices. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of achievements that the committee has recorded, significant achievements on the implementation of the 10-point agenda. I will take just a few minutes to speak to them. The Parliament received 9 bills from NADCO, and various of these bills have been considered and at various stages of implementation and consideration by Parliament. So far, 3 bills have been enacted into law, including the IBC Amendment Bill 2023, and the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill 2023, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Bill 2023. Those have fully been implemented and no further action is needed. We have got 2 other bills that are under mediation, including the Elections Amendment Bill 2023 and Election Offences Bill 2023. IBC has been fully constituted and it's carrying on with its mandate. We have seen conducting of by-elections, and IBC also has commenced the process that will lead into the delimitation of boundaries, and it has laid out a clear time frame under which that will be done. The PBO Act that enables civil societies to solicit for funds and implement various social projects has been operationalized by President William Ruto's administration. Presently, there is also the process of legislation to harmonize bicameral relations to ensure that the National Assembly and the Senate get to work harmoniously for the greater good of the country. Under the entrenchment of funds into the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution Amendment Bill on the entrenchment of the NGCDF, the GAF, the Senate Oversight Fund, and County Ward Fund is under consideration by Parliament presently. The Court of Appeal has pronounced itself and determined that NGCDF does not violate the Constitution. Agenda 2 and its implementation, inclusivity in all spheres of public life. Key achievements, and I'll just make brief highlights because many of them have been stated by His Excellency the Deputy President. The launch of the National Policy on Ethnic Minorities and Marginalized Communities was done in 2025, December, by His Excellency the President. 500 million shillings scholarship program has been railroaded by the same policy. The same policy creates the Directorate for Minorities and Marginalized Communities under the Executive Office of the President. On economic inclusion, ladies and gentlemen, measures to reduce the cost of living, we have seen the fertilizer subsidy program, which has lowered the cost of fertilizer from 7,000 shillings to 2,500 shillings per bag, which has enabled many farmers to access this. There's 14% reduction in fuel prices and exchange rate gains, which has lowered production, and many Kenyans are now able to travel to work, production by various industries. The costs have gone down, a key success by the broad-based government. Ladies and gentlemen, there is presently the timely payment of social protection stipends by the government alongside salaries. This is done in a very timely way compared to how it used to be in the past, where there were serious delays. And then it has also been streamlined such that it has weeded out fraud. And in the past, many people who are able used also to fraudulently access the social protection funds. This has been weeded out. The Equalization Fund allocation to support development and service delivery in the marginalized areas has been increased from 5 billion shillings to 9.6 billion shillings, a key achievement under the broad-based government. Inclusion in the health sector. The rollout of UHC by transitioning Social Health Insurance Authority has increased healthcare insurance from 7 million, as the Deputy President has indicated, to 29.8 million beneficiaries to date. And this is a key achievement that is on record under the broad-based government. We have got the CHPs, 107,000 of them, 831 have been employed, and people now across all the villages and hamlets in Kenya access primary health care. Share premiums for 1.5 indigents are being paid by the government. When it comes to education as an inclusion aspect, 100,000 teachers have been recruited since 2022. And as the Deputy President indicated, this has largely increased the teacher-student ratio. 23,000 classrooms and 1,000 laboratories are under construction, a major achievement that is ongoing. The committee has also noted that university allocation has increased from 45 billion to 82 billion shillings. The HELP scholarship funding has increased also to 41 billion shillings. These are self-evident achievements under the broad-based government in the period under consideration. Rural and infrastructure inclusion, 260,000 affordable housing units are under construction, creating thousands and thousands of jobs for young people, the youth, and various professionals, architects, lawyers, engineers. And this is a celebrated score of achievement under the broad-based government. 450 markets are being constructed nationwide across all the 47 counties, and 6,000 kilometers of roads under construction. Protection and strengthening devolution. Key implementation here and achievements, Your Excellency, we have had the equitable share revenue to counties increased from 385 billion shillings to 415 billion in the financial year 2025-2026, and in this financial year it's projected that this is going to increase to 450 billion shillings. Access of funds to county governments and this increase in shareable revenue is a major gain for devolution, and the broad-based government is evidently keen to protect and advance devolution in Kenya. Counties now receive timely monthly disbursements with no pending carryovers as of June 30th, 2025. Your Excellency, under Agenda 4, promoting and protecting livelihoods for young people, we have got many key achievements. So far, for instance, Your Excellency, the committee has recorded that over 90,000 young people from all 1,400 and 50 wards are undergoing training in the country. Over 121,000 youth, together with 110,000 youth from Kakuma and Dadaab, these are refugee camps, have received business training, mentorship, and startup grants of 25,000 shillings, being an initial of the wholesome 50,000 shillings that they will ultimately receive. Your Excellency, the Nyota program is a major success, which has created opportunities for over 820,000 young entrepreneurs aged between 18 and 29 years. Your Excellency, across all 1,450 wards, there is the 50-50 gender parity, and the Nyota program has really impacted lives of thousands of young people in the country. Additional employment initiatives have created and increased opportunities for young people in the country. 640,000 jobs have been created through affordable housing program, with 7,000 professionals who have been onboarded. Your Excellency, the construction of stadia has also increased the creation of jobs for youth and professionals across the country. 20,000 jobs have been created through the Climate Works program. Under leadership and integrity, Your Excellency, as agenda number 5, the broad-based government has ensured the enactment of the Conflict of Interest Act, which you assented into law on the 30th of June or July 2025, which has now been operationalized. This act strengthens the government's commitment in combating graft and regulating and reducing conflict of interest within the public sector. Agenda number 6, Your Excellency, the right to peaceful assembly as enshrined in Article 37 of the Constitution, and compensation of victims of protests and riots. The government has set aside 2 billion shillings for compensation of victims of protests in the first supplementary budget of the financial year 2025-2026. This will go to the compensation of victims of protests and human rights violations. Your Excellency, 4 days ago, a panel of experts for compensation of victims was gazetted by the head of public service under a framework that will be developed by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and already these railroads the compensation of victims, which has been a key issue raised by even citizens whenever we've been moving around the counties in the public participation process. From 2023 to 2025, IPOA has handled 820 cases of alleged police misconduct during public order management, securing convictions for 35 cases involving 49 officers, and recommending disciplinary action against 30 officers. This has been done by IPOA. The demonstration bill, which sought to restrict the right to assembly of protesters, was withdrawn. This was initially intended to curtail the rights. The Ministry of Interior and National Administration has issued policy directives limiting excessive use of force and strengthening training and retooling of police officers for lawful crowd management. Agenda number 7, Your Excellency, national debt. The broad-based government, ladies and gentlemen, has commissioned a comprehensive forensic audit of the public debt by the Office of the Auditor General to strengthen transparency, verify utilization of borrowed funds, and this has been an issue within the public, the issue of auditing our public debt. The broad-based government as well has reduced reliance on external borrowing by exploring innovative financing mechanisms. And just yesterday, Your Excellency, you signed into law the National Infrastructure Fund Act. Through liability management, the broad-based government has reorganized national debt portfolio to reduce financing risks and minimize the risk of default. There is greater emphasis placed on mobilizing domestic revenue, and this is ongoing under the broad-based government. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I'll move to the agenda number 8 on the fight against corruption. As I've indicated, the Conflict of Interest Act is now operational, and this is a great effort toward combating graft, which is politically carcinogenic in the country. There is the adoption of the e-government procurement system, which has digitized the entire procurement framework. And from planning, this enhances transparency, accountability, and ensures digital footprints in the procurement process, Your Excellency. Over 23,000 government services have been digitized on each citizen. This has eliminated cash payments across government and middlemen, reducing corruption risks and increasing revenue collection by the government up to date. Your Excellency, the Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Act was assented into law on 17th of June 2025, a great effort as well in strengthening the legal framework, combating illicit flow of funds in Kenya, and has supported the exit of Kenya from the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. Your Excellency, the implementation of the zero-based budgeting has enhanced fiscal discipline and accountability by requiring justification of all public expenditures. The single treasury account system has consolidated government cash collection and management, improved transparency and transaction costs, and minimized idle funds in commercial banks. Your Excellency, as I move towards the end, agenda number 9, stopping of wastage of public resources and promoting of government efficiency. Austerity measures have been put in place, including the removal of budgets, initially in the office of the First Lady, the spouse of the Deputy President, and the spouse of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. A 12-month freeze has been put in place for purchase of government vehicles, except security sector vehicles. There is the zero-based budgeting in the financial year 2025-2026, requiring all public expenditure to be justified, as I've indicated. And then presently, the passports processing, the national ID cards processing, all of them have been reduced from 1 month to 1 week, improving access to these services by the citizens of Kenya and reducing corruption. Agenda number 10, Your Excellency, protecting and promoting sovereignty of the people, the rule of law, and constitutionalism. The broad-based government, under your leadership, Your Excellency, has facilitated the judiciary to ensure there is the recruitment of judicial officers. We recently saw the recruitment of 11 Court of Appeal judges, High Court judges. The recruitment process has been ongoing, as well as the magistrates, to improve case handling, reduce backlog of cases, and access to justice by Kenyans. Judicial mobility has been strengthened through the support of the executive to procure vehicles for judicial officers. There is the support to ensure the national e-filing system, which has been implemented, enabling paperless court processes, remote case filing, and virtual hearings. And as we are in the second quarter of the 21st century, utility and dependence on technology is unavoidable. The judiciary as well has achieved near compliance with the 2/3 gender rule, with the 332 women judges and magistrates representing 47% of the bench. To ensure the adherence to the rule of law, the government has adherence to court orders and all decisions of the courts under the broad-based government and under the leadership of His Excellency President William Ruto. Ladies and gentlemen, the committee has made a few key recommendations, which I will speak to briefly. There is need to ensure that the bills that are still pending at various stages in Parliament are fast-tracked. The committee recommends the formation of a broad-based mediation committee between the Senate and the National Assembly to fast-track consideration of those outstanding bills. This committee also urges Parliament to expedite and conclude outstanding NADCO bills within 90 days. To enhance realization of the constitutional rights under Article 37, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights should spearhead legislation to safeguard protesters while protecting livelihoods and property. To fast-track the Natural Resources Amendment Bill 2022, to provide legal framework for equitable distribution of revenues from natural resources among national government, county governments, and local communities, this bill should also be fast-tracked for implementation. County governments are here urged to implement the National Policy on Ethnic Minorities and Marginalized Communities 2025 to promote inclusivity in governance and public participation. The Attorney General should propose amendments to Section 108 and Section 109 of the County Governments Act 2012 to make county integrated development plans, the CIDPs, long-term plans to be 10-year plans, and sectoral plans to be mid-term plans of 5 years to ensure completion of legacy projects across electoral cycles. This recommendation is to try and make white elephants across county governments to be a thing of the past. To enhance efficiency and credibility in elections, the IBC should be well-resourced and supported to develop infrastructure and capacity to hold transparent, credible, and verifiable elections as the Constitution provides. We recommend as a committee the establishment of a multi-agency team comprising the National Treasury, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Law Society of Kenya, under the leadership of the Office of the Attorney General for the victims' compensation. While, of course, as I've indicated already, steps in that direction has been taken by the gazettement that was done 4 days ago by the head of public service. To promote access to justice, the Independent Policing and Oversight Authority should conclude investigations into complaints within 6 months and publish its findings. To ensure timely accountability, prosecution and determination of ethics and corruption cases by mandated institutions must be completed within 6 months. Lastly, Your Excellency, the Kenya National Police Service should be well-resourced and supported to strengthen continuous training and retooling of the police for effective crowd management in accordance with the rule of law. Your Excellency, we thank you so much for the time and the responsibility that you have given this committee, and we thank the broad-based government for the support that it has given and continues to give this committee to the completion of its duty. I thank you so much.
Thank you. A hearty clap for Javas Bigambo. Your Excellency, it is now my pleasure to invite back His Excellency, the Deputy President, to progress with the program. Karibu, Bwana DP.
Thank you very much, Coin 10. Your Excellency, in the interest of time, we will run the rest of the program very fast because today is a parliamentary day. And this being a PG, I'm sure the two houses will want to proceed early. Your Excellency, the party leader of UDA, Your Excellency, the party leader of ODM, I will request Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, my academic senior, to come and say 2 things here in 2 minutes. Based on the presentation of the 10-point agenda, maybe on devolution and compensation of victims. 2 minutes for Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o. A round of applause.
Your Excellency, the President and the Vice President, thank you so much for convening this meeting. It's extremely important and informative. I will only say 2 things that are effectively dealt with in this report. That is devolution and compensation of victims. As you know, that some of us have been very concerned about the issue of victims, and I'm glad that today they've gone on record that the victims will be compensated. Secondly, devolution. You know, there was that famous story that a child always asks for more, and it's never enough. The Constitution of Kenya says that there are 2 levels of government, devolution and national. separate but interdependent. Kenya cannot really develop fully if devolved government is not fully funded for the development functions that it performs. I'm grateful that it is said that the equitable share of revenue to counties has increased to 385 billion shillings in financial year 2024-2025 to 415 billion shillings in financial year 2025-2026. This is good. And it is projected to rise to 450 billion shillings in 2026 and 2027. We are happy about that. But you know, as I said, we will never stop asking for more. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the next item, before I call ODM party leader and then invite you, I want to announce after those keynote addresses, we shall have a short plenary of about 15 minutes so that a few of us also can say a few things. Starting with the chair, COG, I see a good turn-up of governors here. We appreciate you, and then we'll have a few other members. I have the permission of the House leaders of the two houses of Parliament to run the plenary as a retired leader of majority. Because of time, they have asked me to manage so that as many of us as possible can say something. Your Excellency, sir, it's now my honor and privilege to invite our leader, the leader of ODM, the Honorable Senator Oburu Oginga, Daktari, youth leader. Na kwa sababu anatafuta power, na mimi ni fireman, leo ni fire power. Karibu leader, karibu. Let's appreciate our leader, Senator Oburu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander of the Armed Forces, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Deputy President, and all protocols observed, fellow members of Parliament, I would like not to make, I have a written speech here, but I don't want to read it all. I want to have it here as part of the today's meeting, and I will give it to the press also to have it. But I'm used to speaking off the cuff. It is better for me than reading long speeches. Your Excellency, the report of the 10-point agenda committee headed by my sister, Honorable Professor Zani, is finally presented to us as a joint parliamentary session. Mr. President, this is not a small feat. Mr. President, the country has been waiting for this. The country has been waiting for this because we are in this broad-based government, but there are people who thought that this report is the one which formed the foundation for establishing broad-based government. Mr. President, I want to inform the country that broad-based government started long before the 10-point agenda came. Mr. President, therefore, it cannot depend, the broad-based arrangement cannot depend on the 10-point agenda. 10-point agenda was meant to strengthen the broad-based arrangement. And Mr. President, the 7th of March, which was slated as the date for making the report, was not the end of the broad-based arrangement. The broad-based arrangement goes up to 2027. The 7th of March was marking the beginning or the date when this 10-point agenda was signed. It was an anniversary. It was to celebrate that anniversary. It was also to give us the interim report of the progress of implementation. As you can see, the 10-point agenda which we have been taken through is something which cannot end. It is something which will continue from today. It will continue into 2027, and it will go on, because it is life. Most of these things which are contained here are actually concerning the livelihoods, the daily livelihoods of Kenyans. And we want to improve our society so that there will be no victimization of a victim, or we shall not have victims of police brutality. And our police are supposed to improve, and we want to improve them because they are our sons and sisters. We don't want them to go to jail for killing people. They should not kill people. They should be trained to help our people to fulfill constitutional requirements. If our constitution allows demonstrations, let them be allowed to demonstrate, but demonstrate according to the law. Not demonstrate, you just wake up and you say, I want to go and demonstrate because it is my constitutional right. Yes, it is your constitutional right, but the law states how you should do it. The law guides. We must be a law-abiding society. And by abiding by that, what we are saying is that those who violate the law, those who violate the Constitution should be punished. They should be punished. But we really don't want to trap our people that you employ them in police and then tomorrow you have not trained them well and you jail them. That is not the intention of the Constitution. We want our police to be professional, but for now we are going to compensate those who lost their lives. Compensation of life is not something which you can do. You cannot replace a life. You cannot compensate it. There's no cost to it. It is just to give some, to give some pole to the people who lost their loved ones. And it's pole for those who were injured in those demonstrations. It is not to compensate. It is, even though we call it compensation, but you cannot compensate life. So those who thought that, who were saying that there is nothing absolutely which has been done on the 10-point agenda, shame on them. Shame on them, because you can see there is a lot which has been done and there is a lot which is still remaining to be done. I am very, very impressed, particularly by the agenda of infrastructure. The infrastructure is the game changer, and that is game changer for the whole world. If you go to these countries, we are saying we want to go to Canaan through Singapore. That Singapore used exactly the same methods we are using, including the infrastructure fund, including this infrastructure fund which the president signed into law yesterday. And it is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. That's what we said as a party, as ODM. If we continue to implement these infrastructural projects, the major ones like the SGR through Kericho to KICC, Kisumu, and up to Malaba and Busia, which is a big game changer. This big road, which is connecting us with Uganda from Rironi, is a big game changer. And I was so impressed by the report about Northeastern. Northeastern Kenya is regarded to be an arid and semi-arid land. But there is a lot of wealth there. The country concentrated on what was called the high potential areas. But they left the north, which has all the minerals. It has all the animals. We need to take big abattoirs there and take meat to Saudi. A small country like Botswana has become very rich just because of exporting meat. Why? And we have ignored that area. Instead of opening it up, it is left as a security area. I mean, why should it be a security risk? If you have infrastructure, police will have all the ways of moving freely through that area, and we tap all the resources, including the mineral resources. There is a lot of water there, which is going to wastage. You leave water to go into the ocean, and then you don't tap it, and after a short while, your animals die, and including people dying because of lack of water. And yet there is a lot of water. The dams, you heard this report of how many dams, the many dams which are to be built. There is one which is going particularly to our area there. It's called Soin Dam. Once the Soin Dam is done, it is going to produce electricity. It is going to be used for irrigation. It is going to be used for controlling floods, which occur every year, and we regard it as emergency. It is emergency. How can something which occurs every year be regarded as an emergency? How is it an emergency? And you know it will come. So you have... Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to... Your Excellency, I said I'm not very good at reading speeches, and therefore I will leave this my speech. I don't know, I will give it to the President, but I have spoken my heart. I've finished what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
The power, see power. The power, see power. Let me now invite, as Mzee sits down, allow me to announce the following. After the President gives us his keynote address, a few of us will say a few things very quickly by way of plenary, and I'm going to manage that so that we finish early. And then after that, there will be a closing reading of resolution by the two Secretary Generals of ODM and UDA, respectively. On that note, it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency President William Ruto, party leader of UDA, and leader of the broad-based administration. The power, see power.
Aya, asanteni sana, tafadhali tuketi. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy President, our leader, the party leader of ODM, Oburu Oginga, governors present, senators present, members of parliament, both from Kenya and from Yala. I have a written statement, just like Daktari Oburu. Allow me to read half of it, and then I will speak the rest. It is good to be back here at the Kenyatta International Conference Center the birthplace of the Memorandum of Understanding between Kenya Kwanza UDA and ODM. Exactly 1 year and 3 days ago, my brother, the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and I agreed to work together in the national interest for the benefit of our country. Although our brother Raila is no longer with us physically, his wisdom, foresight, and enduring commitment to the nation continues to guide our shared journey ahead. The values we stood for, dialogue, unity, and the pursuit of justice and progress for all Kenyans, remains firmly alive. I am encouraged that the ODM party, now under the leadership of Dr. Oburu Oginga, remains steadfast in upholding the principles Raila Odinga stood for. Together, we honor Raila's legacy through our continued commitment to the ideals he championed for the unity and advancement of our country. Our coming together 1 year ago was guided by one overriding objective: to stabilize our country and to address long-standing socio-economic and political challenges. For too long, our politics had been consumed and trapped by division, tribal competition, and regional rivalry instead of focusing on the real issues affecting the lives of all Kenyans equally. Together, we resolved to change that. Today's joint parliamentary group meeting between the two parties is therefore significant, not only because it reflects the spirit of that agreement, but also because of the responsibility we carry as leaders to deliver on commitments made to the people of Kenya. We had planned to mark the first anniversary of the signing of the MOU on the 7th of March by assessing the progress made in implementing the agreed agenda. However, as you all know, in the days leading up to that date, our nation suffered a tragic loss. We lost a distinguished member of parliament, the late Honorable Johanna Ngeno of Emurua Digir, who was a committed member of this parliamentary group and a dedicated servant of the people. Were it not for the fatal helicopter crash, the Honorable Ngeno would have been seated here with us today. May his soul rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the MOU between UDA and ODM was built around a 10-point agenda, drawing largely from the recommendations of the National Dialogue Committee, or commonly known as NATCO. These agenda items address critical national issues, including electoral reforms, the cost of living, governance, and economic stability. Following the signing of the MOU, we immediately began implementing the agreed programs. I am pleased with the report that has been presented here today by the Oversight Committee, highlighting the progress made across the 10 agenda items during the past year. The progress we have made is evident across several areas. Our country today enjoys greater stability, and the partnership has created an environment in which government programs can proceed without unnecessary political disruption. Opportunities for our young people are expanding, with government programs now reaching hundreds of thousands of young people across the nation. Through initiatives in housing, health, agriculture, education, the digital and creative economy, as well as the labor mobility programs, we are deliberately expanding new avenues for employment. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to paraphrase, because I have been particularly meticulous in trying to find out where we are in the process of implementing the 10-point agenda. And just for the record, the 10-point agenda was not imposed on us. The 10-point agenda was our commitment, voluntary commitment between our parties in respect to the people of Kenya. There are some people who want to appoint themselves supervisors, as if we met the commitment to them. We did not make the commitment to them. We met the commitment to the people of Kenya. And our responsibility and reporting is to the people of Kenya. And let me say the following. We did this, and we set the standard very high ourselves because we believe that is what we should do for the people of Kenya. Not because anybody forced us, not because anybody imposed it on us, but it is because it is our commitment that Kenyans deserve a higher standard of leadership and delivery. I know the matters of NADCO has been spoken very ably by the presenters of the report. We all agree that one of the most pertinent issues in NADCO was the issue of electoral reforms, and especially the appointment of commissioners to the IEBC. You remember very well that that was a very big debate. Today, we have gone through the process. The court processes have been dispensed with, and today we have a functioning Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. It has already conducted several by-elections. And as a show of confidence in this broad-based administration, all the parliamentary elections that have been held have been won by broad-based. I said all of them. Yes. Just for good record, and we are not, Atusemi, that's what it is. Yeah, those are the facts. In fact, the last by-elections that were held, of the 4 seats that were in contest, broad-based won all of them. Again, for good record. But that is not what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say that we are faithful to our commitment. On matters to do with legislation that is there in Parliament, we know there has been back and forth between the two houses. We will be recommending in this PG that we have a broad-based negotiating team. One that is going to sit with both houses of Parliament, comprising membership from both houses of Parliament. Because if broad-based decides, Parliament will decide. Is that true? Yes. Because we have the numbers to drive it through both houses of Parliament. So I want us to raise the standard a bit so that we establish a broad-based negotiating committee or mediation committee to assist us on all the items that have been presented for legislation in Parliament by NADCO. One has already been dispensed with. The matter of NGCDF. The courts have given direction, and therefore the legislation that had been presented to Parliament is now what the lawyers called functors of issue. I mean, it's been dispensed with. So we now need to pick on what the directions court has given to do the rest of the funds. Let me speak specifically to some 6 or 7 critical issues that I have distilled from the report that was presented to us, especially on those 6 or 7 issues. Number one is inclusivity and especially the matter of cost of living. The people of Kenya have spoken with clarity on how they want our country to be much more inclusive and for us to be able to have a society that leaves nobody behind. We have done 5 issues on this subject of inclusivity and cost of living. Number 1, we now have a policy on the marginalized in Kenya. We have provided bursaries for their children. We have provided many other interventions that will assist minorities, people who are perceived to be marginalized, for them to be brought into the bracket and so that they are not left behind. We have deliberately dealt on matters that finally dictate cost of living. And there are 4 matters that dictate cost of living: cost of food, cost of fuel, because it influences our transport, the cost Kenyans pay for healthcare, and the cost Kenyans pay for their children to go to school. We have addressed all the 5 issues. Number 1, on food inflation, on matters to do with food, we have transformed our agricultural sector. We can confidently stand here and say we did, over the last year or 2 years, we have produced more maize, we have produced more tea, more coffee, more sugarcane, and the whole productivity space has risen. It is the reason why today the prices of unga are different from where they were in 2022. We have made a commitment to that. Number 2, we have managed our economy well. That is why fuel inflation has come down. Cost of fuel was 218 at some point per liter. It has come down by almost 30%. And it is because we have taken deliberate steps to stabilize our currency and to make sure that we don't pay more for fuel because our currency is not behaving. We have done the 3rd thing on matters to do with school fees. You all remember we have undertaken education reform. We've raised the budget for education from 500 billion. This financial year, it was 702 billion. The budget that we're going to read in July is 765 billion. Why are we raising resources on matters education? Because we are putting more money in making sure that every child goes to school. We have not only hired more teachers, because if government does not pay for those teachers, boards of governors pay for them, which means parents pay for them. We've hired more teachers to lift up the burden on parents from paying board of governors teachers. Number 2, we have reduced fees for our university and TVET institutions by between 10 and 40%. The committees on education are here. We have also, as of this week, reduced the fees for our TVET institutions from 105,000 per year to now a standardized 67,000 per year. You heard the Minister for Education announce that this week. It is because we want to make sure that we lift the burden of parents on matters to do with school fees. And that is the standardized fee. And then we will now go in with all the bursaries. The counties are given all the bursaries. The NGCDF is giving. And we have signed agreements with counties. You remember the Comptroller of Budget did raise issues on counties supporting bursaries. The Ministry of Education has signed with all the counties. Now, county governments can give bursaries to all our children because there are no children for national government or county government. That is a step in making sure that we reduce the burden on parents on matters to do with the education of their children. You all know that also we have lifted a heavy load that would otherwise be borne by Kenyans on matters to do with universal health coverage. Today, as the numbers we have been told here, we are actually closing to 30. I think by next week or the week after, 30 million Kenyans will be on social health insurance. And this week, forget about the propaganda in the headline of the news that we lost, some 50 billion can be lost. You know, people are mad. If we lose 50 billion, it means there will be nothing to pay, no hospital. This week alone, we are paying 16.2 billion shillings, this week alone, for PHC and for SHIF, this week alone. We are paying the highest amounts of money to any hospital that has ever been paid under any other administration or under any other program. That is the reality. That is a fact. So, in terms of cost of living, we are dealing with health to reduce bills paid by citizens. We are dealing with education to reduce bills paid by citizens. We are managing fuel to reduce transport costs. We are dealing with food so that we can reduce the cost of living. So I want members of this PG to walk with your heads high. This administration, the administration you have formed, is tackling cost of living head-on. And finally, we are making sure that more Kenyans have income. Today, I report to this PG, we have 1.8 million Kenyans who are not working in 2022. Today they are working. 1.8 million. 640,000 in our housing program, 540,000 in export of labor, 300,000 in our digital platform. We have close to 820,000 under our Nyota program. 120,000 of them, we have given them grants. And I have been to those meetings in person. I have met the 120,000 young people myself. Yeah? Many people were trying to give me small lectures. What is the president doing? Going to give out checks to young people. And I told them, this is how I choose to spend my time. You decide about yours. Okay? Because I believe the young people of this country deserve my time. And time spent with those young people, talking to them, is time well spent as far as I'm concerned. And I have asked the Deputy President and the Ministry is concerned to look at opportunities, and we are discussing with our partners to look at opportunities to expand that program. We believe it is a successful program. Many young people have stepped forward, and we believe we can do more and maybe extend that program to close to 2 million young people in Kenya. And in this particular one, we made a deliberate, intentional decision that this is going to be young people between the ages of 18 and 29, because that is where the heaviest load of our young people are. So, cost of living. For those of you who are taking notes, and I suggest you do, because I see some other people, they cannot explain themselves. We've dealt with food inflation. We've dealt with fuel inflation. We have dealt with inflation that comes from Kenyan spending on education. We spend with the transport costs. You don't hear matatus hiking costs because the cost of fuel has gone up. We have dealt with more Kenyans that are working today. That is dealing with cost of living head-on. And that is what we are doing, together with you guys. Devolution is a principle we committed ourselves. In the 10-point agenda, we said we must be deliberate about devolution, because devolution is the single most important instrument. In fact, it is the heart of the new constitution, making sure that resources and the power to decide on those resources goes to the grassroots. What have we done on devolution ever since we agreed on this 10-point agenda? Number one, we committed that we are going to increase the shareable revenue. Last year, we increased 30 billion from 385 to 415 billion. This year, we are going to increase from 415 billion by another 35 billion to 450 billion. That is the commitment we made to ourselves that we would do. Number two, in the past, disbursements to devolved units would go, and by the way, I'm talking about shareable revenue. I'm not talking about all the resources that go to the counties. Aside from the 415 billion that's going to counties, we have another 70 billion that is going to counties. That is close to half a trillion to the counties. We might be asking a few questions to our governors. Yeah? So next year, definitely, when we do the 450 shareable revenue, we will be going towards 550 billion. We'll have crossed the half a trillion line on resources going to our counties. Number two, and so that before Anyang' Nyong'o tells us we do more, yeah? and we are going to do more. In the past, money meant for devolution, some of it would be carried over to the next year because not all the monies were disbursed. I stand here today. For the last 2 years, we have not carried over a single cent. We have paid all the monies for devolution. At the end of the year, we made sure that we didn't cross over with any. That is going to be the same this year. We will not carry over any resources. We will pay money meant for devolution to devolution. The yearly commitment will be met. Number three, in order to enhance the efficiency of devolution, especially the efficiency of accountability, we made a commitment under the 10-point agenda that we are going to support the county assemblies to be autonomous and independent so that they can carry out their oversight role properly. Parliament, both houses did agree with us. They brought the bill to me. I signed the bill, and from this June, in the next budget, county assemblies will have their own independent budgets. They will no longer need to make friends with the county governments or to be friends of governors for them to get their resources. They can then, hopefully, we are going to be expecting of the county assemblies to exercise their oversight mandate much more robustly, because now they will not have excuses that in case they are too tough on the governors, they may lack the resources for their county assemblies. That will now be a thing of the past. And then number four, on devolution again, we realize that just as we have the national administration, the county assemblies, members of county assemblies and governors have no pension. And we have made the strategic decision that the bill that was there in Parliament, which in my opinion has serious challenges, it is my position that we now agree in this PG, that it is only fair You know, governors and members of the county assembly are elected leaders like us. You know, the same way we have pension, it's only right that they have pension. We all agree on the principle of contribution. You know, the same way we contribute pension, they too, and I don't think they have a problem contributing to the pension. So it is my request to this assembly that we change the law that currently is in Parliament so that we include governors and we make sure that that pensions bill is contributory. Yesterday, I did sign into law the pension benefits for judges. I don't think we should leave our governors and county assembly members behind. So those are the 4 fundamental things that I wanted to say on matters to do with enhancing, supporting, and integrating devolution into our governance system. Finally, now that the court has pronounced itself on the matter of CDF, it is my belief that the bill on ward fund that currently is in Parliament should now be fashioned along the recommendation that has been made by the court and fast-track it so that our county assemblies can equally have a legal framework to guide on matters to do with ward fund. And I don't think this great assembly of PG has any problem with that. Do we really have a problem with that? Very good. So I think that will be the next thing we are going to do. And I appreciate that many governors have already implemented the ward fund even without this legislation. Now, let me go to the third issue that I thought is important for us. The matter to do with leadership, integrity, and the fight against corruption. This is a key commitment that we made under the 10-point agenda. Now, let me say the following on this matter. Number one, as part of our commitment to leadership, integrity, and the fight against corruption, you know very well we had a candid conversation on holding ourselves as leaders to the highest standard of integrity. You remember, members here, I don't want to remind you, but you remember we had a difficult decision. We had a difficult conversation, right, on that matter. It is because we chose ourselves, these members, we chose that we need to raise the bar. And I want to thank members of Parliament here. You passed the conflict of interest bill, which I signed into law. If there is a demonstration of leaders sitting here that they want to be held to the highest standard of integrity, it is your passing of the conflict of interest bill. Today, it is law in Kenya. And I want to congratulate both houses for stepping up and measuring up to the yardstick of integrity. Number two, we have taken the deliberate decision that to eliminate corruption, to remove inefficiency, we must digitize all government services. Today, from 320 government services in 2022, we have 30,000 government services digitized. That has significantly eliminated bottlenecks. eCitizen today collects more than 1 billion shillings every day. It is a platform that is traceable. It is a platform that's accountable. The old system where people were paying cash and paying through checks and paying through corners and paying through pay bills, we have stopped. And today, if you pay on eCitizen, you don't need a receipt because it is traceable from who paid, for what service, to what account. We have digitized government services as part of our commitment to eliminating corruption. Number two, I did sign into law, June last year, the money laundering and anti-terrorism financing law. Again, as our commitment as an administration and as a country to transparency, to accountability, that illicit flow of money does not find its way into Kenya. As I speak to you, we also undertook three significant steps as a means of accountability and reducing on corruption. Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who was in our treasury, will tell you we have been struggling for the last almost 20 years to do what we called single treasury account. It has never happened. It has happened this year. We have been struggling to do what we call zero-based budgeting, meaning that we eliminate confusion. There was an element where people were saying corruption is budgeted. This time round, we are introducing greater accountability on budgeting to make sure that for every budget, every year we bring it to zero, we know what was achieved, what was not achieved, and then we plan again. So those two, and then finally, we are undertaking the e-government procurement. We know it has caused difficulties. It has not been easy. But it has not been easy because those people who are used to manipulating things and tenders and what have really fought this matter. We agreed on EGP like 8 years ago. I think it was 2020. It has been in the books. It has never been implemented. We have implemented it this year. Why? Because we want government procurement to be transparent. We want accountability. And we want to know if you are selling to government, are we getting a fair price? Who is supplying the tender? For how much? And it must be open in a portal where all people involved can follow, so that if I don't get the tender, it means I was not the lowest or I did not meet the qualifications. That is what we are doing in matters to do with integrity and making sure that leadership is held to account. Let me also say that we have enhanced the place of the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. They have concluded 143 cases, investigations. They have already obtained in the last 3 years 86 convictions. And because we have always been told convictions is a challenge, we have achieved 86 convictions, and especially we have enhanced their capacity to seize assets. We've already obtained assets of 9.8 billion, which have now come back to government, and we are pursuing assets worth 22 billion, assets that were obtained by corrupt means. And we say those assets must be surrendered to the government of Kenya. On the fourth item that I wanted to speak to is on the matter of debt. In fact, if you look at the 10-point agenda, there was a bullet, standalone, national debt. The national debt has been a very big challenge to Kenya. In fact, debt almost brought our country to its knees. You heard what Professor Kidure said, that in 2022, there were 6 countries that everybody believed in the world they were going to default on their foreign financial obligations. One of them was Kenya. And why was Kenya there? Because we had the highest, the largest Eurobond of $2 billion. And I remember my good friend John Buddy saying, I mean, this debt was there, everybody knew it was coming up, and nobody was doing something about it. You know, we were just waiting. And so the first thing when we came into office, we said we can't. This country cannot default because many people don't understand the consequences of a country defaulting on its foreign obligations. It just turns your economy into something else. Just look at what happened in one of our neighboring countries. I don't want to mention names. When they defaulted, their currency was devalued by 100%. Just imagine Kenya's currency moving from 120 to 240. Would we have a country left here? And you know, there were very many people who were persuaded that the Kenya currency was going to go to 200. In fact, I remember speaking to one of the bankers, who is no longer my friend, because he was among the people who, you know, imagined, they were already piling up dollars, because they imagined that when it gets to 200, they will make a killing. Unfortunately for them, they had to make losses because the 200 shilling dollar did not happen. So we had to intentionally deal with the debt. What have we done on matters to do with debt? Number one, we made sure that we did whatever it took. And I appreciate that I had to make some very difficult decisions for us to be able to escape that default. We had to cut down on spending by about 300 billion. We had to remove subsidies on unga. We had to remove subsidies on fuel. We had to eliminate, we had to stall some of our projects because we had to pull back from continuous borrowing. That's number one. Number two, we did not just avoid default. We now went into a plan on how do we reorganize our debt. How do we successfully negotiate our way? I can confidently, that's why we went to the market. We went to the market in February 2024. We went to the market in February 2025. We went to the market in October 2025. And we went to the market again this February. To do what? To do liability management. The debts that were due next year, we now have no debts due in 2027. We have a small debt due in 2028. Then we will go to 2037. We have reorganized our debt portfolio so that it doesn't threaten our fiscal sustainability. And I must thank John Mbadi and his team at Treasury. They have done a very commendable job. Muwapigie makofi. We have also engaged some of our lenders. I do not want to mention names. I have had to go and sit with some of the lenders and tell them, guys, some of these loans, the repayment is too steep for us. You know, some of the interest rates you are charging us are very high. And we have successfully managed to reduce some of the interest rates. We have managed to change some of the structure of the debt so that instead of too much upfront payment, we have managed to negotiate to make them concessional. And today, I can confidently tell the country that we have avoided situations that would put a lot of strain in our budget. And number three, we have also decided that we are going to be innovative. We are going to be creative in how we do public assets. It is no longer tenable for us to continue borrowing. That is why we have said we are not taking any borrowing resources unless it is absolutely necessary. I see some people say there has been a disagreement between Kenya and the IMF. There is no disagreement. We have just agreed on what to do. We have agreed that if we need your money, we will come for it. If we don't need it, we will do with the resources we have. I mean, how does that amount to a disagreement? Are we together? Yes. I mean, is it wrong to be able to stand on your own and do your own stuff? Is that a weakness or a strength? Yes, to me, akili bwana. So, what have we done? We have decided to have alternative instruments of financing our development. We went the route of securitization. Many people told us, oh, you are going to do this. Because of securitization, and I must thank members of parliament, when I negotiated with you and I told you, guys, forgo these 7 shillings, it will help us raise money. We raised 175 billion shillings. We returned all the contractors to our roads. We paid them. Today, we have 6,000 kilometers of road going on in Kenya. We have 90% of our contractors are back on site, and new roads are now being contracted because we decided not to continuously depend on the budget. We looked for alternative instruments of financing our road infrastructure. We are doing the same with Talanta. We are doing the same. Look, when I say innovative, I was explaining today in the morning, how did we decide to finance Talanta? The sports fund has been a fund that has been there forever. That sports fund has not achieved much because you find a few, a small project there. Most of the money is lost. Another project there, some cabro in some place, some gate in some place. We decided that instead of spending this money with no accountability, let us consolidate it and do a big project. Today, and somebody was saying, oh, William Ruto has pledged for 15 years money from the sports fund. Yes, we have done it. But at least we have Talanta Stadium complete, standing here. Tell me, sports fund has been there for 20 years. Which other project has it done? Can you show me one project? At least I can show you what it's going to do for 15 years. Are we together? Yes, that's how innovation works. How are we building bombers? Have you seen any budget have you seen any approval of any line of budget in Parliament for bombers? We are building bombers using the tourism levy. Tourism levy has never done anything for this country for the last 30 years. Nothing. Kuna kitu mara sijui nini naenda kusponsor kitu moja hapo, naenda kusponsor pale, nagawiwa sijui waziri achukue pesa ngapi, sijui nani achukue pesa ngapi. Today, that money is building bombers. Friends, that is how thinking out of the box looks like. Kwani mlikuwa mnafikiri thinking out of the box ni kufanya kitu gani? If we had gone to borrow money to build all this, we would be in trouble, So we have decided to think outside the box. Securitization. We are discussing today proceeds from some of our mature assets. When we discussed about selling a stake in Kenya Pipeline, many people said, you want to sell the family jewel, or you want to sell this. We've done privatization before. We privatized Kenya Airways, we privatized KICC, we privatized Safaricom, we privatized I don't know which company. But today, we cannot account for the proceeds of that privatization. We are doing it differently. And that is why Parliament passed the National Infrastructure Fund. It is not an experiment, as I said yesterday. It is what other countries have done. It's what India has done. It's what the UK has done. It's what Ghana has done. It's what South Africa have done. And that is the way to the future. This morning, Leo, I rang the bell at Nairobi's Securities Exchange. And we collected 106 billion from the sale of our stake in Kenya Pipeline IPO. And we are going to put that money in the National Infrastructure Fund. You know, let me explain to you. If we don't have the National Infrastructure Fund, the National Infrastructure Fund gives us a different leverage. It multiplies that 106 billion 10 times. You know, not through magic, no. Through innovation, creativity, and financing. And that is how we are going to have additional resources to do our roads, to generate more energy, and to do what our senior here, party leader, was saying. He said, we pretend that there is always an emergency in northern part of Kenya, when we know it's going to happen. Because of what we are doing now, if you read today's newspaper, we have already advertised for several dams. So when I talked about us using the National Infrastructure Fund and proceeds from privatization for building infrastructure, we're not talking about the future. We're talking about doing it now. We've already done the contract for Jomo Kenyatta. That is where about 15 billion shillings is going to go. And that 15 billion shillings is going to enable us raise 150 billion, just by putting 15 billion. It's the same thing we are going to do with the dams. If you check today, we have already advertised several dams, because that is how we are going to cure the problem of food insecurity. Water harvesting, water storage, irrigation. That's how we are going to eliminate the shame of hunger in our republic. And we are beginning that journey today. Many people were asking themselves, will the National Infrastructure Fund be accountable? I want to tell you, yes, it's going to be accountable. It's going to be accountable to Parliament. It's going to be audited by the Auditor General. It's going to engage Cabinet. And we are going to make sure that no shilling of that money is going to go anywhere except for productive national infrastructure. I will be appointing the board tomorrow. The governing council tomorrow. Then they will be the one to competitively recruit the board, because we want to inject transparency into that space. I was saying this in reference to debt, how we are dealing with debt, and how we want to make debt not a threat to the Republic of Kenya. Number one, we have negotiated with our lenders. Number two, we have rearranged, using liability management, the debt portfolio. Number three, we are using different mechanisms to raise revenues for matters to do with the public infrastructure development. We are using private-public partnership. Finally, the Rironi-Mau Summit Road, we are not even investing money from the public. That is being built using private-public partnership. And that is how we are going to grow our country without putting too much burden on citizens on taxation or over borrowing from everywhere. So, national debt. So if anybody was doubting the commitment of the broad-based government or our commitment to the 10-point agenda, I have explained with clarity what we are doing, because we set up this exam ourselves. We wanted the highest standard for ourselves so that we can serve the Kenya people better. Let me go finally to one more issue, and that is the issue of which was peaceful assembly and making sure that the victims of although we have been told here, and it is correct by the party leader of ODM, that you can never compensate life, but you can do something about it. What have we done? You know, many people are saying, oh yeah, maybe. I took the first step and gazetted a victims' compensation panel. It subsequently went to court, and the court, with the Independent Police Oversight Authority, we have identified all the victims and profiled their names, and we have already made sure that we have a comprehensive list. We did not even buy protests from 2017 are now captured. So we have already identified all the people in there. We have provided resources. You will be approving 2 billion shillings to make sure that we have the resources to compensate those people. Finally, the court came through and gave direction on how that process should be done. And last, now, in compliance with the decision of the court, last week we gazetted a panel, as was recommended by the court, to expedite this process. And it is our belief that unless we should be able to conclude this exercise before June, so that we can all be in that space. But we are not stopping there. We are saying we want to look at the future. And so I think it would be right for us in this PG to recommend that the Kenya Human Rights Commission propose a law to Parliament on protection of protesters, on how to protect protesters, because it is a constitutional right. We do not want to propose the law from the executive side of government. Conclude by saying that aside from that, we have facilitated the independence in breach are held to account. As I speak to you today, 35 cases have been successful, have been convicted. As I talk to you, we have another 30 cases that are undergoing disciplinary action in the police, and the process is ongoing. We have implored on the Police Oversight Authority to appropriate this mandate as efficiently as they can, so that we can all move together in that same direction. On matters to do with the rule of law, I think it was explained to us here with a lot of clarity. Number one, we are facilitating the courts to make sure that they have the human capital to deliver on this mandate. I did swear in 11 judges of court. We have provided the resources for that. We did provide also resources for the mobility of our judicial officers. They wanted some vehicles. We have provided the resources for them. They wanted the resources to do e-filing across the country. We have provided resources for them. And yesterday, as I said, with the passage of Parliament of judges, yesterday I did sign it into law so that we can give our judicial officers greater capacity and be able to, for them to be able to appropriate out, just as summary of the items that we are engaged in as an administration. And we are not doing this to satisfy the 10-point agenda. No, we are doing this because we made a commitment, not by force, but because we wanted to do it. And I am very confident that working with you, we will find the way into the future together. Some initiatives have taken longer due to parliamentary and other judicial procedures. We must now accelerate the passage of the laws that are there in Parliament. And I do fast track whatever is remaining of the 10-point agenda. I know the committee, the Oversight Committee, have requested us. They have done a great job. I think it's only fair that we extend that by 60 days. I don't know whether that is agreeable to members here. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion don't say? So I think it is so extended. And finally, I want to secure your concurrence that we ask the leadership of Parliament to, do we agree that we establish a broad-based mediation committee? I put the question. Will as many as of that opinion that we establish a broad-based mediation committee say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion shut up? Okay, so I think that is that. And finally, I want to request that with where we have reached, I don't know whether this is the right point for us to say this, where we have reached in the consultation. I will maybe want to ask the leadership to come and read for us the summary of what we have achieved. But let me say the following, because following consultations between the party leader of ODM and myself, on behalf of all of us, the UDA Management Committee did endorse that we begin consulting. It was also approved by the National Executive Committee of UDA, and it was also approved by the National Governing Council of UDA. The same happened for ODM. There was, I think, a meeting of the Management Committee of ODM, NEC, and also the other organs. It is my proposal that this PG endorses what was agreed in the organs of ODM and in the organ as endorsed by this joint parliamentary group. I don't know whether that is a good place for me to put the question. I therefore put a question that as many as of the opinion that they agree with the decisions of the organs of ODM and the organs of UDA, the process of engagement between our two formations, as many as of those who agree with the decisions of the organs of the, as many as of a contrary opinion say something? Nothing. Okay, they said nothing. The ayes have it. I don't know whether there is another matter. Yes, there is a final matter. Just hold on, Chair. Matter that it is my request and that of the party leader of ODM that as a way of now progressing our consultations in line with the authority given to us by the organs of the party, that this PG endorses the formation of a technical committee to now take the process forward of 4 members from ODM and 4 members from UDA to craft for the party leader of ODM and myself the future as recommended by the party organs of the 2 formations. And we want to ask this PG to agree that we form a technical committee of 4 members each from UDA and ODM to take this process forward. As many as of that opinion say aye. Many as of a contrary opinion, if they want to say something. They have nothing to say. Okay. The ayes have it. Okay, it is, I think for good record, we should say the ayes have it. I did secure his concurrence that I undertake this exercise. So I want to say thank you very much. I now the other processes to the rest of the people. Yes, yes? You want to say something? Are you sure you want to say something?
Sir, I'm sorry I have to speak before you come down. Please say something about the 2/3 gender rule. It is silent in this report, even under the recommendations of the ZANI committee. They are silent about the way forward. No, it is not there.
It's
there. Just
It
mentioned.
is there, says. Can somebody read out the
Chair,
it is there, says.
Your Excellency, please let me read for you.
We cannot make such a fatal mistake.
You know, Your Excellency.
Item number 1, constitutional amendment. Yes.
Yeah, but
So,
you know, sir, you know how critical this matter is.
Yes.
Your pronouncement means a lot to the women of
Okay.
this country. It is very, very important
Okay.
that this is mentioned right here and now, sir, respectfully.
Let me be specific. Let me be specific. Part of the reason why we believe there is need for a broad-based mediation committee is because the constitutional amendments that have been proposed, including that specific one on 2/3 gender rule, we need as a broad-based to agree on a common position, both in the National Assembly and the Senate. And primarily, that is the reason why we are proposing that mediation committee. And we all agree in this PG that we are in support, at least Party Leader Oburu Oginga and myself support 100% the matter of the 2/3 gender rule. And this parliamentary group in its entirety, without any exceptions, support the 2-gender rule. We'll ask 2/3 gender rule. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Honestly says, we are all in. Yeah, we are all in. So thank you very much.
I think His Excellency the President has allowed us to sit down, those who can sit. Ni fire, see fire. Ni power, see power. Fire, power. Now, we've run out of time. We will very quickly conclude by acknowledging Your Excellency in this meeting. We have had the attendance of 137 National Assembly members of UDA and 68 from ODM. 137, from UDA and its affiliates in Kenya Kwanza, and 68 from ODM, total 205. Members of the Senate from Kenya Kwanza, 22, and 38 from ODM, total 60. IALA members, 3 from UDA, and none from ODM. I don't know where the ODM IALA brigade is. The total numbers, National Assembly, 162. And from National Assembly, 106 from Senate, total, both houses, 268. Your Excellency, we also have Excellency governors, maybe those who are still here. I see Waigoro, Sakaja, Mungaro, Mtutu, Governor of Lamu. I see Some of them have left, and the chair of the Council of Governors is also present. Your Excellency, because of time, you have had very clearly two major presentations. One, our scorecard as broad-based government. Two, our progress on this long-term issue about the 10-point agenda. Our two leaders have spoken, UDA-ODM. So really, unless there is something, maybe a comment or two, we can take them. And after that, I'll invite the House leadership of the two houses to come and flank those who will read the resolutions on behalf of the joint PG. And in the next 3-4 minutes, we can be out of here. Yes, Honorable Luoch, quickly. Honorable Luoch.
Thank you, Your
Yes.
Excellency. Thank you, the Vice President, the Deputy President. I have only two comments to make, one by way of way forward. The main issue that I want to say is the communication that comes out of here must be clear and succinct in terms of what the 10-point agenda has achieved.
Correct.
And I think His Excellency, the President, has properly captured this.
Yes.
Much more than I see on this report, and not because they have done a bad job. I think we must recall this document and capture what the President has said in terms of what has been achieved, so that what goes out to the public captures both what the President has said and what the committee work has done, so that we don't give any room for miscommunication. My second and last point on the issue of governance and the rule of law is to provide for a consideration on how we can strengthen political parties and continue to fund political parties as per the law required. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Good job. Can we take a position on that? He thinks the President's explanation has been a little more... Yes. We can do an executive summary and release a dispatch maybe later today. Not immediately now. Release a dispatch on the 10-point agenda in a more comprehensive manner. So members of the press, you will have to wait until later in the day for that dispatch to be issued. And also the funding of political parties, I think we are in concurrence. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Right? Other than that, any other comment? I think that was a very good input. I think we are good. Please, House leaders. One more from a lady member there. The last one. Yes.
A point of correction.
Yes.
Talanta Stadium is now Raila Amolo Odinga Stadium. Thank you.
That should also be reflected for the record.
Corrected, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I think this is a good position to end because of the pressure of the parliamentary time this afternoon. Thank you very much, the leaders of both houses of parliament, both from the UDA and ODM side. We appreciate your giving us an opportunity to assist in the running of the affairs of this meeting. I now invite the leaders of both houses of parliament from both sides, UDA, ODM, to step forward and we'll get the resolutions read. After that, Gitonga, you will call for the national anthem. We conclude the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, DP. We'll ask Honorable Soro, Millie Odhiambo, if you're in the house, please step forward, and the two SGs.
No, you can read page 1, then you can give me the rest.
This thing. The resolutions passed.
Okay. I will add that. No, answer na hapa.
SG. Millie. Can come here. Your Excellency, if you allow me to also acknowledge among us those members who are here, we also have our partners and friends from Jubilee Party who are not part of ODM or Kenya Kwanza and are here, and we truly appreciate them for joining us. I'll now proceed to read the communique following the second joint ODM-UDA Parliamentary Group meeting held at the KICC today in Nairobi. The Joint Parliamentary Group of the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, and the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, held its second meeting at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, Nairobi, on the 10th of March 2026. The meeting has reviewed progress made in the implementation of the broad-based government agenda over the past year and received a report from the Oversight Committee on the status of the 10-point agenda agreed upon under the Memorandum of Understanding between the two parties. The joint PG noted with satisfaction that approximately 80% of the agreed commitments have been implemented. The meeting reaffirmed that the Memorandum of Understanding between UDA and ODM is anchored on a 10-point agenda drawn largely from the recommendations of the National Dialogue Committee, NADCO, addressing key national priorities, including electoral reforms, the cost of living, governance, economic stability, and institutional reforms. Members have observed that the partnership has contributed significantly to political stability and created an enabling environment for the implementation of programs aimed at expanding economic opportunities, particularly for young people in our country, while strengthening sound economic management. The meeting further noted progress made in stabilizing the economy and addressing the cost of living through measures including reduced inflation, the continuous fertilizer subsidies program that is supporting farmers across the nation, expanded health care and health coverage under the Social Health Authority, strengthened anti-corruption measures, and the revival of the stalled road projects through the securitization of the Road Maintenance Levy Fund. I want to invite Honorable Junet to continue.
Oh, okay. The meeting resolved to extend the mandate of the Oversight Committee by 60 days to enable it to finalize outstanding matters arising from the implementation of the agenda. In addition, the joint PG agreed to establish a joint technical committee with each party nominating 4 members and the respective executive directors serving as joint secretaries. The committee will develop the shared policy agenda and priorities of the two parties, which will inform the work of a coalition framework to be considered later in the year. So this is the technical committee that will develop the issues and the things that pertain to the public and the two parties and lay ground on what issues the negotiation committee will discuss on the issues. The Joint Parliamentary Group reaffirmed its commitment to continued cooperation in the national interest and to advancing reforms aimed at strengthening Kenya's democracy, stabilizing the economy, and improving the livelihoods of the people of Kenya. The PG resolved to adopt all resolutions passed by organs of the parties. That's the end of our statement, and thank you very much, Your Excellency. In conclusion also, in the spirit of strengthening political parties, I want to bring to the attention of the PG that ODM is owed 12 billion shillings as their money. 12 billion. If we get that one, then we shall be very happy.
Thank you. I think, DP, I will invite you back to help us close the meeting and request members of the House Business Committee in both houses, please, immediately after this meeting, Honorable TJ, let us proceed straight into the meeting for the House Business Committee. Thank you.
And with that, I'll request that we all be upstanding for the national anthem, which is our joint prayer as we come to the conclusion of this session. So let's all be upstanding for the national anthem. the anthem.
Will now allow His Excellency to depart and leave at his own pleasure. Do have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Sijasalimia my DP. How are you, sir?
Songa. Fire.
I know.
Sagaja! Fire!